Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Hallmark Movies podcast. And we are back to talk about the second season of Drop Dead Diva. We already did a recap of the first season. It was so much fun. And we got to talk to, or I got to talk to Josh Berman, the creator and main writer and producer, everything of the show. And that was super fun to get the behind the scenes of how he came up with the idea and the episodes and all the casting. And so we'll put a link to that interview in the description. You definitely want to check that out. And they had a Drop Dead Diva marathon on for Martin Luther King Day, the holiday day. They had 10 episodes of the show, and so hopefully more and more people are kind of getting introduced to the show, because I've always felt like it was pretty underrated, and it's not the kind of show that would get like a lot of Emmys or things like that, but it's so well done. It's so much fun to watch, and so hopefully people are being introduced to it.
100%, definitely.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Like I these shows that are like, are like classics. Like we always see like, our Golden Girls with the Anna Griffin Show, Mama's. Yeah. Like, see all these shows that been in the past or coming like receiving like, being shown to new generations. Like this show right here definitely is that show that need to be on the air.
I just think a lot of, maybe because it was on Lifetime, it wasn't on one of the networks, in the 2000s. And so I just think it got missed by a lot of people, and people are hopefully now being introduced to it. But I love the show, and I think this second season is really strong.
Oh gosh, we gotta talk about it.
Might be my favorite.
Oh gosh, so much. I mean,
there's very few misses, I think, in this season. In season 2.
From the cast, from like special appearances, like
all the musical numbers that they have, or more than I remembered.
I feel like I'm rewatching for the first time again, and like literally, we're gonna talk about it, Hallmark. We're gonna talk about it because you thought that last season was a cliffhanger.
It's nothing on this season.
Nothing yet.
Yes. Well, let's dive in. We've got 13 episodes to cover, so a lot to talk about. Yes. So our first episode, I have to say, this is to me one of the weaker episodes of the season, just because I don't feel like the cliffhangers pay off that well. They're kind of just, like I don't think the whole cliffhanger with the husband really pays off that well, and some of the other elements. But it starts with a bang. Such a great beginning. Yeah.
Thank you. I was gonna say, like, even though this was like the weakest episode per se, that the first opening, dead on. I was like, I want hot dog on a stick to see, like, these. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah. So it's at the close of last season, Deb was ready to let go of her past and embrace life as Jane, but the unexpected arrival of Jane's quote unquote secret husband, Ethan, at her doorstep left her with more questions than ever. To make matters worse, Jane may be disbarred after breaching client attorney confidentiality went against the firm's advisement. She reported her client for fraud. Faced with a new love triangle and the uncertainty of her career, Jane must once again chart out a new future for herself. It's called Would I Lie to You, this episode, and it starts out with Jane working a hot dog on a stick. The only food that will have me is a food court.
Oh my, yes. I kid you not. Gotta have you like a hot dog or get you like the cheese one. My drink. I'm not even gonna lie. Yeah. Just like one of my mentees working there, and I used some free food here and there. But those are the times of our lives in like high school, college, any day of the week. Like I'm going to hot dog on a stick. Mind you, it's funny. This is funny because one of my friends from high school, she's like, I'm gonna go to the mall, shopping around. I'm gonna go get a hot dog on a stick. It was gone, and she was freaking out. She was like,
I maybe go to the mall once a year. I never go to the mall. I'm more likely to go to like an outdoor shopping center kind of a place than like a mall. Partly because I hate the way that when you go to the mall, there are so many of those booths trying to sell you stuff, and it's just like I just want to be left alone for my shopping.
I don't want to try no candy right now. No,
yeah, or perfume or like lotion or whatever, or cell phones. I don't know. So I don't go to the pretty much the only time I go to the mall is if I need to get something from Hard Topic.
Oh, Hot Topic.
Hot Topic.
Mm-hmm. Don't worry.
Hot Topic.
Don't worry. I go to my stores too. I go, Box Lunch, Torrid. I might go in there for Hot Topic on the Blue
Torrid,
Moon.
maybe.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I never go in department stores. I mean, I can even tell you the last time I went into like a Macy's or a place like that, because they just don't have very good plus size sections in those department stores. Mm-hmm. So I just never even go in. Never. But anyway, so she's working at the food court, and then Paula Abdul saying the truth will set you free.
Yes.
What, Judge Paula? What was the truth? And she sings. And I remembered vaguely this number, but this number is long.
It was. And it was, mind you, it was like a dream sequence too. So I was sitting here like, I forgot about this scene. This scene was like, but I'm like, how did I forget about this number?
It goes for a lot. Like they do it's the whole song.
It is.
I was surprised. So she has a pro bono case with a girl with a large heart.
Yes.
She's struggling because she doesn't know if she should take the case, because she also has going through this disbarment thing. Tony is representing her, and I kind of wish that they'd kept Tony longer. I really like Tony.
And
they had good chemistry.
They sure did. We gotta talk about it more throughout the episodes, but Tony.
And I have to say, Kim is probably at her worst on this episode. She is really she testifies against her, says that I just assumed you didn't want to eat in front of people.
I want to punch her in the face. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm supposed to be showing goodness. I'm like, off the hook, y'all. To we get further in the season, Kim been off the hook from season 1 and season 2. We gotta talk about it more about Kim, but
which is interesting, because when I asked Josh about Kim, I said that you had to have her be an antagonist, but you couldn't have her be like evil. Like she had to have some warmth and some kind of things, and he was pretty hard on her, I thought. And I think throughout the rest of the season, you do see more warmth from Kim. It starts rough in this episode, but as she is kind of struggling with dating Parker and some of those things going on, that she might be pregnant, she thinks in a later episode. But yeah,
so much we gotta talk about Hallmarkies. It's just, you have to watch these too as we go along with this episode.
But Grayson comes in and says to Parker, says that Shakespeare, the first thing we do is kill all the lawyers. And then he says, she took a bullet for you.
Period.
Yeah. So then we have both Ethan and Tony are there, and Tony gets upset. We find out that they got married quick because he had leukemia, needed insurance. And it sounds like this guy really, really used Jane.
Sure did, y'all.
Yeah. So it doesn't really go anywhere that much. But she tells Ethan off.
She showed
but Tony's still upset. But I did like when Jane says I knew Shakespeare. She's so excited. I love it when she's like, Deb is excited about
these newfound things.
Yeah.
At the same time, she's like, Deb's keeping the secret, she can't tell Grayson. Man, Jane has a lot of skeletons in her closet that we do not know about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and she's continually learning, which makes sense. Especially somebody who seems somewhat isolated, like Jane. It seems like she pretty much lives. She literally was sleeping at the in her office and that kind of thing. I mean, it doesn't seem like she had like a whole lot of friends or anybody else that they've introduced,
except for the judge. When she every Thursday,
that's true. The judge
whole match and stuff, but nothing outside of that.
Yeah, And then we find out that Ethan wants a divorce because he's getting married.
That part.
Yeah. And we also have in this case with the pacemaker, the question is that it's experimental. It's deemed experimental, which is totally a problem that you see with all different kinds of things. Like I had surgery on my eye twice for strabismus, it's called. It's basically a lazy guy situation. I had surgery twice, and the insurance covered it that I was on at the time. But in order to make it so I don't need another surgery, I had to do this thing called vision therapy, and it is for whatever reason deemed experimental, and so it's not covered by insurance, which is so stupid because covering the experimental vision therapy is way cheaper than covering another surgery, which is what they would have to do if I didn't have the vision therapy. So this happens all the time. Wow. Is that something is for whatever reason viewed as cosmetic or unnecessary or experimental, and yet they cover the thing that's way more expensive, that if they had just covered the other thing, then they wouldn't need to cover the even in this case she's gonna die. Yeah.
And then my heart broke because like she gave her mom her doll, like, you know, I was like, I should be crying on the first episode, like no, that was just like, you know.
Yes. And Fred comes back. He comes back. Yes. He's got all of this stuff from around the world. He's got blue, which is the most gross thing. Fermented fertilized duck eggs. No, thank you.
And coming to find out later on, he didn't even go around the world.
Yeah. If you want to listen to a fun episode, our interview with Donna Benedicto, which is one of my all-time favorites, and she's Filipino, so she talked about, well, she loves craft services in these movies, and if you follow her Instagram or shows, and she was talking about the craft services and the food. And anyway, we started talking about Filipino food and blue and everything like that. Blue, I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. But anyway, it's gross. I mean, to be fair, I have never had it, but
so, you know,
it doesn't sound like my taste.
Try.
Yeah, that's fair. Down. Yeah, so they end up they find out that delaying the pacemaker saves this company $20 million. And then the little girl collapses, and Jane is able to convince them to approve the surgery, for at least for her. And then you find out that Fred got all the stuff from the world market in Hollywood.
The ghetto. Really? We still love Fred.
Yeah. Love Fred so much. He's so fun. And then Tony says that he wants to slow things down. He's mad at her because of Ethan. And then Grayson says this place wouldn't be the same without you. So she wins, and she gets her she's not disbarred. She's not disbarred. And yeah, I think that the cliffhangers were kind of like they were fun to me, but they weren't as fun as they could have been.
Yeah, because I feel like the cliffhanger from season 1 to get to season 2 opener, it was like it wasn't really connecting as strong as I thought it would.
Yeah. But
so what saved it was the opening scene of
yeah. And I would give this one a 6.5.
Okay, I got it at a 6.
Yeah. Okay, next is episode 2, Back from the Dead. And it's Jane attempts to put her relationship issues aside when she has to focus on a custody case involving a man who suffered from amnesia for 9 years. Meanwhile, Kim and Parker represent a female writer who is suing to retain control of the fictitious male persona she created under her pen name, Jonathan Noble. So I would say this is a pretty good episode. You have You have Jane. She sees there's this declaration of death case. She sees Deb in court.
Yeah.
He says, I haven't waited for a guy to call me back since 8th grade when I got boobs. And Terry's like, I'm still waiting. That was really good. And I think that Terry's an underrated character.
She
really enjoy her.
We need to give Terry her props. Like Terry is like that secretary that we need, or like that assistant.
Margaret Cho, really funny, brings a lot to the role. A lot of sass. And Josh was saying that he might be able to help us, that we can interview Margaret, which would be super fun.
Yes.
Yeah, I would love that.
I just love all the tea from her, because that girl, we need to know, like, this is just everything.
Yeah. Well, and I liked her. She was in a movie called Fire Island, which is not Hallmark friendly. It is very R-rated, but I did enjoy it. She was very good in it. But that was funny. So Chad Lowe is there, and he had amnesia.
Mm-hmm.
He was kind of plane crash. He never met his son. And I always say in these kind of things, I feel like, what's wrong with the child having more love?
Thank you.
This problem is they don't trust that he won't try to take the child away. That's where the concern is.
Mm-hmm.
But they all seem like really nice people. And
I know.
What would be the harm of Daniel is his name, being in this child's life and having somebody else that loves them?
Yes. And also I wanted, they could tell us though, but like the grandmother was present for all those 9 years, and then and then one day, like, the grandson comes over, like, who is this? Like, this is your biological father. He disappeared for 9 years because of this, quote unquote, what happened, but he's here. I felt as though, yes.
But they never did that though. They never introduced him to, but because they're worried that he's going to try to take him away. So if there was a way to reassure them, then I think that I don't know. It seems like that's fair.
And what it was that was key was that he didn't want to take the kid away from the mom. It was more like, I just want to get to know my son. It wasn't like it wasn't all like, I want my rights or I want full custody. No, I just want him to know who I am. I know you're a family. Like, he understood that, but I want to know that he did have a biological father. You're a family unit. That's all.
Yeah. So then we have the other case is, so Kim is very mean to all of her assistants. And so Fred ends up stepping in and working for Kim. And that's fun. That's a fun dynamic.
Oh my goodness. Yes. It was the way it happened. It was just like, I'm not looking for a job. Stacey's helping me look for a job with the pink resumes. Another dash to Legally Blonde, by the way. I probably didn't spray it yet.
Yeah, and so Kim and Parker are working on this Jonathan Noble case. Ricky Lake has been writing under this pen name. I think her real name was Susan.
Mm-hmm. I think
but the guy has legally changed his name to Jonathan Noble. He's pretending he is Jonathan Noble, and that's I would say a pretty fun case.
I love this case. This case was hilarious. Can we give our kudos to Ricky Lake, because that is my girl. Like, from watching her from Spray to the Ricky Lake show, all things she has done, she is that girl.
Yeah, and she looked gorgeous.
Yes, and this is late 2000 going into 2010. Mind you, this is way before she had her diagnosis though, but she had lost her hair about 2 or 3 about almost 4 years ago.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I'll follow her on Instagram. I forgot the diagnosis, but she been still living her life, everything. Did she get remarried? I think I
haven't followed her, but she looked great in this episode.
Yes,
it looked great, and I thought did a good job in the role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we forget, because she was a talk show host for so long, but she started out as an actress.
Yes,
she's Hairspray and things like that. The original Hairspray, not
the musical. The original. You guys, you have to watch the original before you watch the millennial version of.
Yes.
Okay, you guys. And she is in the remake as well.
Yeah. And I was really funny when when Terry says don't look her in the eye to Kim about Kim. Don't look her in the eye. We'd like to take a second from this episode of the podcast to celebrate our sponsor of this episode, and that is the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast?
Do you want an inside scoop into what happens on the podcast?
Do you want early access to episodes and loads of cool perks?
Now is the time to become a patron of Hallmarkies podcast.
By becoming a patron, you get to access our patron Facebook group.
You can request episodes or even be a guest on the podcast.
And most importantly, any patron can join our monthly movie watch-alongs with stars like Paul Campbell, Natalie Hall, and more.
It's as low as $2 a month to join in and become a special part of the Hallmarkies family.
Please consider, and we will love you forever.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
But we also have Jane and Stacy both kind of they're spying on Tony, and Tony's out with Alyssa, this woman Alyssa, and she's like, "Why haven't you called me back?" Like, it is kind of rude. Like, why didn't he call her back?
Like, at least let me know, hey, I'm busy with work or something. I get back to you. Like, why are guys doing this? Even girls do this too. Like,
yeah. Turns out it was a job opportunity. It was a job interview. And she says, I don't exist well in limbo. And I am exactly the same way.
I didn't know what's going on. Like, is it going to be yay or nay, or they bring me like ghosts, or you're trying to ghost me? Just let me know.
Yeah, I do not like that uncertainty. I would probably have left way more messages than Jane.
Yeah, that was 3 messages. She better than me.
Yeah, and you can see that Parker has like a little bit of a kind of a crush on Susan, Jonathan, whatever. He's putting on this new tie. Yes. He's looking really good.
Bring off her
and then she says, "You're using my own stuff, my own column. You're using it on me." That's funny.
At least it's
yeah. And so then we have this whole fun number where they so you think you can dance number.
Yes.
What do you think, Judge Paula Abdul?
Man, Paula was getting her coins this season. I swear she was.
Yeah. And Jane is dancing with Deb.
Yeah.
And it's fun. And yeah, I like when they're able to bring, because it's such kismet that both Jane and Deb were both played by Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
Actor's name is Brooks. So funny when they get Brooke D'Orsay and Brooke Elliott in for a scene like this, and they're dancing, and we find out that it's Deb's birthday.
Yes. And
Grayson is having this party, and he's not inviting Jane because Jane didn't know Deb. So, it makes sense. But
today, so like, what's going on? Like, it's my birthday come out. You didn't tell me we planned. Like, well, it's Deb's birthday, not your birthday, because you just had a birthday.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then Susan puts out a blog killing Jonathan Noble and explaining everything. And so that's pretty fun.
Yeah. And she gets her coins at the end of it, guys. She gets her coins.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you have Tony waiting in her office, and that's when he explains that he was there for a job interview, and I don't exist well in limbo. And then we have a whole scene in court where Daniel gets to ask questions of the wife, and she says, "I can't risk you breaking his heart the way you hurt mine." So, yeah, I think like I said, I think they could hopefully work something out. But Daniel's giving up the case; he's going with his mother, and then this is when Kim hires Fred. And Daniel decides to not push it, which I would understand, but it's just a shame that they wouldn't have been able to work it out.
I know. And then on top of that, we find out the reason why, because it's not the first time it happened. That would have killed the case automatically because the mom held the information. And then 2, it's like they definitely could have worked it out. They could have worked out, like, you guys are a family. I was presumed dead. Like, they could have worked it out, and they could have maybe could have made an agreement, like, maybe make baby steps, or just be extended father. Like you are about the kind of like, you know, how some people give birth and they have someone take care of the baby as like adopted, but they're still part of that family. Like it could have been like
an open adoption kind of.
Yeah, except for like reverse, and it's the male sperm situation.
Yeah. So then they toast to Deb at the end, and so yeah, this is a fun episode. I like both cases. I like we get a dancing sequence. So I would give this one like an 8.5.
Awesome. I'm gonna do an 8.
Yeah. All right. So then we have episode 3, The Long Road to Napa. And this one is Jane finds herself with 2 clients when she discovers both are married to the same man. Worse yet, she has trouble distinguishing her personal life in the courtroom when she discovers Tony is representing the Casanova. Kim takes on a custody case involving a baby adoption just as she finds herself with her own baby issues. And Stacy decides to take destiny in her own hands when she invents the next must-have item, the envelope.
Sorry, it's an envelope for me.
So yes, so Vivica A. Fox is in this one, which you always gotta love that. And she shows up, and it turns out that the husband has a girlfriend, but it turns out it's more than a girlfriend. This guy Charles married to 2 women. Well, starts out just 2 women.
Y'all, this is some Jerry Springer stuff, y'all. This is Jerry Springer.
It really was. And David Sutcliffe here playing Charles, which, you know, I love him. He's retired from acting, I think, but I really always like him in whatever he's in. He was always good, whether it's Gilmore Girls, because that's probably his most famous role, playing Christopher on Gilmore Girls. But he was in a bunch of Hallmark movies for a while. And so there's that era. But then we have Kim is there. Her friend Caitlin had a adopted baby. Then the birth mother takes the baby back. And that's really a tough situation. That's very, very difficult. And that's why you definitely have to make sure that you have everything legal, accounted for, everything, because it's a very tough situation. The birth mom claims she was in a diminished state because of postpartum depression, which again is another reason why you make sure you have everything all done through the lawyers, everything. And they had kept it an open adoption, and she had given $20,000 for medical expenses for the birth mother, which is not uncommon. Yeah, that would be, I think, about normal for an adoption. You can't literally pay for people. That's not how it works, but you can help with medical expenses and things like that.
Yeah, kind of remind me like, well, it's not like the movie, Baby Mama though, but it's just like, like helping out with like expenses, like, your, the check situation,
hospital bills.
But this is kind of like a great eye opener to like adoption, either open the close and what can happen, because it's one thing, like nurses stealing babies for their own, like, people coming in, like I'm thinking of a baby from the hospital. It's another when you're like an adopted parent and like the person who bothers the parent wants it back, and it's just it's a tough situation when that happens. Really hard.
And it's hard for Jane because she says I should be married to Grayson and be having his babies. And because she finds out that Fred tells her that Kim might be pregnant with Grayson's baby.
Girl, so the way he found out, because he was all
he was being
his Grayson.
Yeah.
He girl being Grayson and just like
I don't think that Kim and Grayson have any chemistry at all.
No, it was like basically it was like he was like Grayson was still over like Deb's death. He needed someone to to get his urges out, because he just maybe he's just sexually frustrated and needed something, and he thought it was it for a second, and then Kim cut it off. Like,
I think that Kim and Parker have way better chemistry.
They do. I swear she is like, I please don't like, we're not there yet, but Kim, please don't sleep with everybody in the office or everybody in the office. I know we all live there, but come on. But they do have him chemistry. I'm gonna keep it real.
Yeah.
It was just how everybody found out, and it was just like,
yeah,
it was later in the office,
later episodes, and I do think that the banter between Tony and Jane is really fun. Oh. Do I distract you? You have no idea. That's fun. And like when they're flirting in the court,
yes,
and it's just like Tony selling bigamy like it's the most romantic thing since Michael Bublé. That's good. Yeah, and then so Stacy, she's invented this thing called the envelope, but it turns out that it already exists, called the sun sleeve. So she sent a cease and desist, and then we have Parker and Kim getting drinks together, and Tony and Jane finally get together.
They do.
Yeah. Yes. So that's all fun. And I would give this one, I think the cases are both pretty good in this one. So I'd give this one like a 7. I think it's right in the middle.
I was going to give it an 8 because how it played out. And also, towards the end of the cases, we find out it was, one like the wife versus the husband case. There was a third wife.
Oh yeah, and then also the father was trying to sell the baby for $100K,
and that be happening in real life.
Oh my gosh! So no wonder we're on Lifetime.
This is some drama, you guys.
Okay, so then the next episode is called Home and Away, and this one is Jane. Oh wait, this one is in Spanish. Why the summary is in Spanish?
We're not going to read in Spanish, guys. But I have to do a synopsis for it if you want me to read it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so basically, Jane and Tony's relationship is threatened by his new job in Washington. Jane helps Terry's cousin remain in town, believing that it will be easy case. However, there's something about that neither Jane or Terry knows. Mm-hmm. Parker and Kim decide to take their relationship further. Grayson decides to sell his house he once shared with Deb while he's working on a case where a woman punched her daughter's coach to take off the team. The case takes an interesting turn after Jane/Deb reveals to Stacey that she once dated the coach.
Yes, and we also have Terry's nephew that's getting deported, and so they're working to try to stop that as well. And I what do you think of the whole cauliflower flower trail?
Oh my god.
She's like, well, you understand, I still want roses for Valentine's.
That part. Oh, can we talk about the beginning of the episode where she's cooking and just happy and just glowing and Stacey's like, what's going on? It's not about that her and like, Tony, they did stuff like that. But let's talk about it, because last season she said about, I don't know if Jane's a virgin or not. Like she questioned this, and then when she talked to her then husband, saying like, no, we had a great time and on our honeymoon, Tahoe, like you were good. And she's like, wait, I was good. And when she said, no, I was good. No, James was good. We both were good. I was like, yes, because big girls, we get it done in the bed. I'm just saying.
That's right. That's right. And I thought that Tony and Jane had such nice chemistry, and that was such a cute scene. Just because I hate cauliflower, I'm not a fan. But it's not a vegetable, it's a flower. All this kind of thing. It was cute. It was really cute. I still want roses.
Okay, well, chocolate something.
Yeah, and so then you also have Fred that there's Parker has an assistant, so he started flirting kind of with the assistant, and he doesn't realize that the assistant is gay.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, they go back and forth, and it turns out that he just wants to be the Dave is like, I have a partner. I'm not interested in you in that way. so they could just go karaoke and have fun. And this was fun. Fred singing "Baby, I Need Your Loving."
Oh, I know you. I'm like, go ahead, Fred. I'm like,
Baby, I need you. Yeah. And so then we get this whole thing with Terry. So she's arrested for unpaid park tickets.
Yep.
And she needs bail. So then that makes Jane have to leave Tony to help Terry. And then that's how they find out that her nephew has been here since a baby, but never actually had citizenship. So they want to deport him. And was that her mother or her aunt?
No, that's her mom. That's Terry's mom, okay. Because Edward is Terry's cousin, and that's Terry's mom is Edward's
I thought it was her nephew.
No. Terry's mom is Edward's nephew. Because Edward's mom is Terry's mom's sister. So so Edward and Terry's mom are sisters.
Yeah.
So basically they raised Edward as like they're like, that's Terry's like cousin.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so it's a cousin. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
I think like with me, like I was raised with like my mom's younger sister with my little cousin, and we were basically like cousins, but we were like siblings at the same time.
Yeah. Excuse me. And so then we have Stacy sneaking into Grayson's house because she's trying to find this scrapbook that has the picture of Deb with this married guy.
Yes.
And there's this coach, the coach, he's a real jerk. And the little girl says, the coach told me I sucked in front of all my friends. And Grayson says, sometimes it's the coach that sucks.
It sure do. It really do. Because some coaches be having that win-win mentality, or they just put in there playing favors. Like, my kid's going to be it because I'm coaching. Like, that's not how you develop kids at all. Like, you teach them at a young age, like, that you are, you can't play this, you can't do that. Not encouraging, not uplifting. And you wonder why kids participate or want to grow and be human beings. Like,
yeah, it's especially when you're like, this is like not even high school. I mean, it's just children. It's one thing if they're like I don't know, older, I guess, but it's still that kind of mentality of like tough love is not proven to be very effective. So yeah, and then we find out that Tony has to go to Washington, D.C. He wants her to come with him, but then she tells him that she can't. And so that's a bummer. And she ends up meeting Grayson for drinks. And he says, I decided not to sell. And they're able to free Edward because they find out that his father was North Korean, so they're able to file for asylum. So yeah, this was a pretty good episode, I would say. I mean, the only thing was a bummer about Tony leaving because the first part was so fun.
They were so cute together, and then also let's be known that that cave with the coach did get dropped because he lied, because the picture was very important to get from Grayson's house out of Deb's scrapbook, because they dated. Not only he had an accident.
Yeah, he lied about the neck injury.
They lied about the neck injury, so that case was dropped. Yeah, he's resigning. It is what it is, y'all.
And then we get Parker kissing Kim in this episode too.
I know. So it's been leading up to this too, guys. It's been leading up.
So I would give this one like a 7.5.
Me too, 7.5, because this is a lot is going on, but I'm still heartbroken over Tony and Jane. Like,
I know.
They will be together forever. Maybe one day they'll come back, but I don't know. You know how shows go.
Yeah, I wonder why they couldn't have had him for longer. I mean, it's hard because they want to introduce love interest for Jane, but they don't want it to be anything that will really threaten Grayson, because that's obviously. I asked Josh, was there ever a time when they really were thinking about doing Jane and Owen? because that later on in, I think, season 4, they like there's Team O and Team Grayson, and he said that he wanted the writers to, he never told the writers, he wanted them to feel like it was possible, but that he always wanted, not only did he always want Jane to end up with Grayson, but he wanted Jane to end up with Grayson in another body, which is how it ends. So they did it. All right, so let's keep going. We've still got so many.
I know, right? We gotta keep going.
It's long. Okay, then we have episode 5, Sentimental Journey. And this one is when Jane's mother is unexpectedly arrested, Jane must represent her in court before Judge Summers and reconnect with the father she has never known to help her mom. Meanwhile, things between Parker and Kim heat up, and Grayson gets heavily invested in a case involving a Ponzi scheme. Terry attempts to help Fred with driving and dating. So, yeah. The driving was hilarious.
It really was. Like, first of all, Terry, why did you take him not into a school parking lot? Why on the road? This is how you put the drive. You put it like, take your middle finger up at all the drivers and keep going like, Terry.
Yeah. I mean, I struggled to learn how to drive. It was difficult for me. And so I definitely could connect with.
You know what? Let me tell you guys my story of driving. So my uncle, he was actually a truck driver. So he taught me how to drive. So I remember one day I'm practicing driving to school, and as there was an accident, so they're all like, you know, little fire sticks around, stuff like that, lining the way. I was literally like, I don't want to drive through it. I'm scared. I might pop the top. I'm scared. And then after getting through it, I just had to 2 minutes outside of school and just cried in the car. Yeah. I was like, I don't want to do this ever again.
Yeah, I was terrified. Well, yeah, those scenes are hilarious. Very well done. So you have Kelly Martin coming to Grayson because she was in this Ponzi scheme, and it makes him very upset. And Jane is really shocked because she's never seen him really lose his temper before. Mm-hmm. And she finds out that I guess his actual birth father was left the family because he was so humiliated by this Ponzi scheme that he was in. And of course, and it was fun to see Kelly Martin in this.
Yes,
which are a Hallmark star. and the thing is that I think actually the ending result of this case with her getting her money back because of the girlfriend who had the life insurance or something like that.
Yes,
I don't think that would actually be allowed, because I think that every single person who had been victimized by this guy would say, hey, why does she get it, but we don't get it? Mm-hmm. You know, what's special about her? So I don't think that, I think at the very best, they could have that and all split it amongst themselves. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that she would really be able to get it back. But for the sake of the show, they do.
That part, yes.
And
then let's see, also learning about Jane's mom having a disorder, bipolar. Yes.
And I was really interested because she was a lot in this episode.
She really was compared to like the first time we met her.
Yes, and I did think there were some funny lines though, like, you know, you're a winter, and she's I know.
and then she's singing in the jail cell. I'm like, Jane's mom is really off the hook without her medication.
Hello. I'm Hannah. And I'm Katie. And we have a podcast called
One Kiss Means Forever. Do you love made-for-TV rom-coms?
Are you obsessed with Hallmark and all the Hallmark-inspired copycats that have come out on other platforms like Netflix?
And while being obsessed, do you know that these are not what one might call quality films?
If so, come listen to our podcast. Each episode, we discuss one movie that did not have a theatrical release and always ends in a happily ever after.
And how do we know it will end in a happily ever after?
Because one kiss means forever, of course.
So join us as we deep dive into each movie for about 45 minutes.
Episodes drop every other Thursday, except during the very elongated Hallmark Christmas season when we join the Christmas craze and go weekly for about 2.5 months. Bye!
Yeah, she was a lot. She was a lot to deal with. And you understand why Jane's going to see her dad. The mom takes the psychological exam. She wants to leave. And she says, this is not optional. You have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And because she's like, she's singing Walking on Sunshine and in fountains and the mall and things like that. She's really
But there's also this case also taught us about, especially for Jane too, well, Deb as well, that that this is the family that you have, like either born into it or you got adopted into this family. Because even the judge, Rosie O'Donnell's character, even said, like, you never once talked about like your family with me. Like his dad was outgoing.
Yeah. And we also have that we have Fred flirting with the police officer. That's really funny.
Like, so I like a man who's honest, but Fred was very, very too honest.
He got the hot cop. And then he says, we could go out, we can have fun, but I just want you to know I'm in love with someone else. I did laugh at the I forget who was it Stacy who says they say that Maya Angelou is not a resort in Mexico.
Yes.
Said that. Yeah, that was really funny.
I was like, oh Lord.
That was funny. Parker has a dream sequence in this one.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you have there's the conflict between Jane's mom and dad. He says that the dad cheated on her, and it turns out he didn't cheat on her. He says that I will supervise her, and she finally admits, I know you didn't cheat on me. Anyway, so it's a lot of drama. And then Jane ends up eating sundaes with Judge Summers.
Yes. I love it in a day like that at a court. Like,
cute.
I'm going to eat sundaes in the chamber with the judge, who's my friend.
Yeah. So this one I would give a 8.
I definitely would give it 8 as well. It was very strong, and just the journey of understanding family and what you have, and what you want.
So then the next episode is Begin Again, and it's Jane helps Grayson defend one of the singers of a famous pop duo, and they decide to team up with the lawyer defending the duo's other accused star, an attractive woman named Vanessa. But when Grayson and Vanessa hit it off, both in and out of the courtroom, Jane will have to keep her mind on the trial despite feeling like the third wheel. Parker and Kim agree to help a bed and breakfast owner when the inn receives an excessively negative review that they suspect may not be impartial. Fred flaunts his new dating life in hopes of getting Stacy's attention and making her jealous. So yeah, this one, I like parts of it. I like the Fred part is funny with the basically fake girlfriend. And I like that. I like the Parker, the review case better than the pop diva case. I think maybe it's just because I am a critic. It hits home.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. Those pop girls, they did remind me of Allie and AJ. So I was like, why do they remind me of Allie and AJ off of like Disney Channel? I'm sitting here like,
yeah,
they really definitely would give you some nods to like pop culture in these like episodes throughout the whole entire series runs of different people. I'm like, this is creepy.
I just felt like it strained credibility how much they lied. They lie about where they were at. They lie about
they got some like time for that.
Yeah, they lie. So her alibis lie. The assistant I don't understand why they felt the need to lie so much when you have this other clear suspect who has motivation. And their lies only made things worse. for their case, made them look more guilty. But it was fun to see
Grayson and Jane working together, because remember the last time it was supposed to happen, Kim, like, she was so upset. I remember that last season where she wore her red outfit. She was ready to the nine to work with Grayson, and then Kim swooped in like, no, I'm second chair. But now she has to work with Grayson.
What do you think of Vanessa? Are you a fan of hers?
Vanessa, the sister lawyer. You know what? She's she's the opposite.
So Grayson dates her for a couple.
Yes.
Jamie
she's the
Ray
opposite
Newman.
of Kim. Per se. She's opposite of Kim for sure though, but she's more like a harder, what's the word? Not hard dater though, but she has like her mind made up on everything. Like she's like, up there. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, she's fine. She does the job.
Yeah,
that she needs to
do. But she ain't Deb or Jane. But
no. Yeah, this one is. I would say it's one of the lower episodes, just because I don't think the cases are as good.
I did like the bread and breakfast one, because we found some tea about Parker, because honey,
that's true.
Got shot, Detective Parker, out of this randomness.
Mm-hmm. And that he's been there so many times in the like 11 times.
Right? Like, did he get Kim there yet?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I would give this a 6.
It's gonna be a 6 for me too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then next we have A Mother's Secret, and this is let's find it. When Deb's mom, Bobby, requests Jane's help in a legal matter, Jane discovers Bobby had secrets of her own while she takes on a case involving a lab technician who is accused of stealing lab secrets. Meanwhile, Kim and Grayson work on a custody case involving a dueling couple's pet chimp. Which I think the chimp is the highlight of this one. Would you agree?
I love it.
So funny.
I do. I love this episode so much. Like both cases, I just love both cases, period.
Yeah.
The champ, it just might take me back to like watching all these videos back in class with anthropology, just like about chimpanzees and stuff. So it was just like, it makes my heart sore. It was just like the people, first of all, they're fighting over, remember the cops came in talking about they were fighting over, I guess, like a domestic, about a kid, but the kid was basically the chimpanzee. They were like, what am I?
I mean, judges make rulings in these that you just think, what?
But no, this judge was like, I have nothing else better to do on my other cases. This case is better. Like, yeah. Now I understand judges where they depending on what cases they take. Like, this case is not interesting. I get this case, but he's like, no, this case is gonna be better.
But it was really funny. Kim with the chimp. That was really funny.
Oh my goodness.
Kim like, I mean the chimp like Kim. That was funny.
People don't every time he's a monkey. I'm like, a chimpanzee. I love it.
Yes. And so then we have this whole thing about that there's this woman, Samantha, who took the hard drive with all the formula for this nail polish that's rainbow nail polish. And it turns out Bobby is her birth mother, that she placed Samantha up for adoption. And so that makes Kim makes Jane in a tough place, because Deb's obviously feeling really conflicted about this, because they've got this her mom has this new daughter basically in her life.
Yeah. It's like now Deb's like, I'm not the only child anymore. Like, wait, there's a child like before me, and like and they kind of understand, like, I guess just kind of like for her, Deb watching like her mom making like a amends or a redo, because it's like she already gave up one daughter, she already lost another one in a car accident, and she's trying to reach out to her child of adoption to save her.
Yeah, but that's really painful for Deb, to see her mom getting a new daughter. And so I thought that was all effective. And you have Robin Givens playing the head of the Rainbow Cosmetics, and there's evidently this guy, Mr. Trilling. Yeah, Mr. Trilling is like a motivational speaker too.
Yes.
And so he has five 5 keys to a happy life or something like that. And she works that into the code for the nail polish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the formula.
But yeah,
Right.
but these actors, they were giving this episode. These actors, they were just on point this episode. Like, man,
And
I know that I'm like, you know, it was cool because how, like, in a way, even though like Deb and Samantha never met, they were actually similar in a way. Like, you know, she did nail polish, you know, using her like her.
that's
style.
true.
And
Good
then
point.
And then Bobby's like, Dad would have loved that. And then Deb was like, I know I would.
Yeah. So they end up, Mr. Trilling fires Robin Givens, hires Samantha.
Yep.
And they end up winning. And then the lady ends up giving Sunny, the chimp, back to the man who taught him sign language and everything, her ex. So that was all very sweet.
Yes.
And
then
then
he to make her laugh because she couldn't Sunny laugh. That was it. Like Sunny knew sign language. Like he was like Sunny was the dude right there. Sunny was that chimp.
Yeah. Well, and Parker is having problems with when Grayson and Kim work together, and Kim's like, what are you doing?
Someone's jealous.
Yeah. And then Bobby and Samantha come and pick up Jane to go out. So celebrate.
It was so
cute because she was
like,
feeling left out.
Because she wanted that relationship too. Like, you know, if she would actually Deb like to be there, you know, with this family unison. But it's just like, you know, at least, you know, even though Deb passed away per se, but she's Jane now, Bobby's starting to have like another new relationship with her older daughter.
Yeah.
She never got new, and they're starting that relationship. You know, Deb was like, no, because after this, I don't want nothing to do with you. But then after time goes on, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. So then we have a really great episode, Queen of Mean. This is episode 8.
Oh, we didn't rank our last episode though.
Oh yeah, sorry. I give this one Mother's Secret. I give this one a 7.5.
I was gonna do 8.5 because
it is a pretty fun one.
It is.
Yeah. So next episode, The Queen of Mean, is great. I love this episode. And we have it's Jane meets the Queen of Mean when she represents designer Ellie Tannen, who is trying to stop the publication of a tell-all book by her former assistant. Jane also decides to get back in the dating game and invites Hank the bailiff to a dinner party. Kim and Grayson represent a transgender woman who's feuding with her in-laws over her partner's property. A lot going on in this episode.
This episode right here is top tier for me.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, to have Sybil Shepherd playing the Queen of Mean is great.
Yes.
I mean, because she had played Martha Stewart on a bunch of TV movies.
Yes.
And so I think this is obviously also kind of, you've got your Devil Wears Prada kind of thing with I think it's Miranda Winters is her name. The head of Vogue, I think it is. Anyway, Anna Winters, that's her name, Anna Winters. Anyway, so it starts out that Jane has the Ellie Tannen scarf, and this woman, Ellie, she hates the word no, and she wants to stop publication of this book. And I think they did a pretty good job of it coming out that that Ellie was using Jane in the case, and the lawsuit was a big publicity stunt.
It sure was. I was like, man.
Yeah, it was good. We also get Grayson. He only does origami when he's stressed, evidently. So he gives Jane this piece of origami, and so it's cute. And
so did with his case.
And then Jane invites Hank to the dinner party. It turns out Hank has a girlfriend.
And by the way, you guys, I know her name is Jazzman, but it was not me, Jazzman. It was another Jazzman, by the way.
Yeah, Hank brings girlfriend Jazzman. And Jazzman is court recorder. And they were
Yes.
like, why do we need those anymore when we have video, audio? You know, like we have so many ways.
She went off.
Yeah. And she's like, what are you just demeaning my work? And she's like, oh no. I don't know. The whole thing was really good. It was very well done.
Yes.
And
mind you, the setup is crazy. You guys, when you watch this episode, you're sitting here like, oh my gosh, this is some great popcorn. Like, you know, it's supposed to be like a double date, but then it wasn't. Like, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Only Stacey.
And so then we also have we've got this woman, Dawn, who she like audited design school. She barely she didn't even like graduate, but she's claiming all this stuff with Ellie, and that's when they find out it was just a big publicity stunt. And
the publisher. Her character remind me of when she tried to get that job. It reminded me of Christina Applegate's character and Don't Tell Mom Babysitter Dad, when she did her resume up to the T, got that job and stuff, but she, you know, she wanted to be in fashion, but this one was like a total twist on it.
Yeah. And that Dawn, she claims Dawn is the mean one. That's the one that's using them. And they talk to the judge, and then they make it so that she's fined $28 for every book that she sells, and so that there would be no profit. And in the end, Ellie gives Jane the scarf, and then we also have the story of this transgendered woman that is trying to keep the home that she had with her wife, and that she started their marriage before she transitioned. And so the parents aren't allowing it. And I thought this was all done really well, especially considering if you think of 2010, not as, you know, I think as accepting or as understanding as it is now. Candace Cain is the actress. She did a great job. And I thought this was just all well done. When the father comes in and, you know, says that he's sorry and gives her the pocket watch, it was all very, very well done, I thought.
Yes, it was definitely well done, and especially how her character wanted Grayson to go, don't use like our marriage certificate, like, because I was a man first, like find something else around until Jane popped up that case, and talk about it because they were a man to man, because it wasn't like, but it was just well done in my opinion. And then the record, like the common ground with the father and her, it just, because it was basically mostly the mom. It was just the husband going with everything because he was upset.
Yeah, he apologizes for his wife, and then Jane tells Ellie, says, "You don't need to be so mean." and then this is when Fred interrupts her. She's just about to tell Grayson.
Yes.
He stops. Fred, he says, he has to love you for who you are now. Yeah, which is, I mean, I don't know. She can evidently tell Stacey, she can tell other people, but she can't tell Grayson. But yeah, that was a good scene. It was a very good scene. So this one's a really good episode. I would give this one a 9.
Definitely a 9.
Everything works. Yeah. All right. So then we have episode 9, Last Year's Model. And this one, Last Year's Model. Jane brings in an age discrimination case only to have Parker handed over to Kim. Grayson takes on a real estate case where his clients claim their house is haunted and gets closer to Vanessa. Fred decides to help Stacey with her money woes by hiring her to serve divorce papers. It's another really strong episode, I would say. I think everything with Grayson and the ghosts is really good.
Oh my goodness, yes. The episode was definitely, it's definitely up there. It's top tier up there with me too. It's just from this discrimination case up until like Grayson in this house, because come on. Like,
so he sees Deb and they like have a full-on conversation with Deb, and they find out that the house had mold, toxic mold, and that's what caused the hallucination. But then he asks the doctor, can it does usually take a while being exposed to the mold to cause hallucinations. And they said, yes, but not always. So it makes them start to wonder. And yeah, then you have this little plot of Fred hiring Stacy to serve the divorce papers for this couple. They'd only been married 6 weeks. And every time they go to try to serve, she puts on this sob story. And so they have a hard time doing it.
Oh my God.
And it turns out he's a total jerk.
He is.
Yeah, the husband. And so they finally serve the papers. She's like, fine. She just wanted to make things as difficult for the husband as possible. So why she did that. We also have Kim shushing Jane in the court. So there's this 34-year-old woman suing for age discrimination because she works for a pharmaceutical company, and they want young, hot girls selling to the doctors and things like that. And there is some truth to that. They do have those.
Yeah, it is true. Like, especially depending on which or company that you work for, they want you to be young, they want you to be, done right. Kind of remind me of the last season episode where the mom was either like discriminated because of her weight.
Oh yeah, that's the second episode of the whole show. Yeah. And so then we have Jane finds out about Parker and Kim. She sees them, she storms in, and she says, "What are you doing?" And we also have Jasmine Guy being a judge in this episode, which is really fun to see her.
Episode Queen Jasmine Guy. Why is always Jasmine in mostly every episode? But but no, like Jasmine Guy, she's an icon when it comes to movies and TV shows. Like from a different world. She had a Christmas movie last year, the Wesley Christmas movie last year. So she's been doing.
And that was probably the best movie on BET. I struggled, I have to admit, with most of their movies, but that was a pretty good one. That was a pretty good one.
I think they're working on part 2.
Guys. Are they? Okay.
I think it's something about part 2. So me too, y'all.
Yeah. And so they find out that this house is on the haunted house registry. And so Grayson says in court that he saw a ghost. And then Vanessa talks to Grayson about it, and the probably one of the best moments of the whole episode was when they claim that the average woman wouldn't want to what is it they say with the age discrimination case. And so Jane, she's like, I don't know what to do, that the average one wouldn't be able to relate to this woman anyway. And she just finds this woman eating a sandwich in the court. She's like, you look like an average woman. Will you testify?
Is it like allowed? She's not in the restaurant like, shoot, the judge allowed this shit. Like,
the judges are very, very, very forgiving in these
shows. They are. But I'm glad like she spoke from like an average woman who's like in that position in the sense. Sometimes these have like their
so once they find the toxic mold, they're able to make a deal with the bank, and then they also get a deal for Charlotte after the sandwich eating lady testifies. And then Stacy invites Fred for dinner, and Grayson tells Jane about Deb and more about, they have this whole conversation about seeing Deb. So this one's I think pretty good episode, especially all the Grayson Deb stuff's really good. So I would say 8.5.
Definitely, I'm gonna do this 8.
Okay, episode 10. We have Will and Grayson. This is Jane defends a fugitive cop against theft charges meant to derail his investigation into corruption on the force. So we have Jane being honored and this for this community service award, and this woman stands up and says, "You're a homewrecker." And so they're trying to figure out what is happening. And we get a Hallmark honk here in Brett Elliott.
Yes. Not only was Elliot on Lifetime, you guys, he also was in Strong Medicine. Like, come on.
Yeah. Well, and he was on Unreal.
See?
Too. So yeah.
So we definitely need to talk about
at first she thinks that this is the lover, but it turns out no, he just came to her for legal help. And so they're trying to find the information about to vindicate this. They've got Hope Prentice and this guy. And she finds because Stacy has been watching all her old Hollywood movies that Jane had, From Here to Eternity, things like that. And she finds the CD recording from Todd Prentice in the DVD. So that's why they're able to make it all work. And but actually the recording is deemed inadmissible, and then
they wired Kim to get some more information at the
bar.
Yeah.
That then you have that vindicates Todd, and the other officers are arrested. So, and they also have this whole thing of this factory being moved to Mexico, and they say that do they have a deal with the city? And we get another Hallmark star in this, with John Brotherton playing the big mean boss who's moving.
Yes.
So that was fun to see him. We have Fred making this recruitment video. That was fun for the walk.
Oh, wait, Kim, we never want to see this ever.
Yeah. And then so Kim doesn't like the video. And at the end they're watching Heaven Can Wait, which is a movie about somebody who comes down in another body. So it's like a perfect movie for this show. But yeah, I think this one's pretty fun. I would give it 7.5.
I was gonna do 8.5 because I'm not even gonna lie. When the wife, everything, reconciled, and she thinks Jane for what, getting her husband off and everything. I thought Jane out here creeping for real. I was like,
you did wonder.
I did. Come on. Jane have all these skeletons in her closet, like the real Jane. So I want to know more. And the fact that it happened, I'm like, what would you do? I'm like, were you trying to be your cases that way, sis, before dead on your body? Like, let me know what's going on.
Yeah. Okay. Then we had Good Grief. And this is Jane and Grayson take on a case involving a grieving man coping with the loss of his wife by dressing as a clown. Parker and Kim represent a producer who is being sued by one of the participants on a reality show, which leads Kim to question her own dating situation with Parker. Fred finally decides to tell Stacy how he feels about her. So this is a pretty good episode. You have Barry Watson playing this man who's dressing like a clown. And because he is grieving so much, and he was pretty annoying. I mean, when he blows that horn and it disrupts the judge, and Jane is struggling. But I think it was kind of brilliant that you've had this building up of tension between Grayson and Jane, and so you have these stories that are these cases that are all about grieving and loss. And when they take off the makeup of it was a really good moment. I thought it was very sweet.
I actually love this episode because it's the fact that you have this man grieving, and Grayson even said like you cannot, even employers, like you cannot have a time limit on grief. People grieve, yes, you're not able to do it at a workplace though, but he lost someone. Like anybody else, they lost someone. Like,
yeah, and not only that, he feels like it was his fault.
Yeah, because he didn't get the item he's supposed to get, and he blames himself. So he's using that. I feel like the clown's kind of like a mechanism, kind of like a miming situation of like, I'm putting on this show for you guys. Like, I'm trying to be all cheerful. Deep down, I am sad. Deep down, I am hurt. I don't know how to move on. And Grace talking about like this, like the steps to healing of grieving. Like, you don't know what stage anybody's at in their grieving process.
Yeah.
And I thought this was a great way also for Grace and also for Deb, because in a sense, Deb is still grieving her whole life at the end of the day.
Yeah. And for them to be working on this case together, I think that it makes them bond, and they're building up this romantic tension between the two, between Jane and Grayson. And then you also have this reality show thing, and you have Kim being put on, and it was kind of brilliant that they got Jake Pavelka, who was on The Bachelor, to play this role, because I think he was I don't follow The Bachelor that much, but I feel like he was kind of a not liked bachelor.
No.
Yeah. That's what I heard. So it's like perfect for him to play this role. And basically what you have is you have this girl, Wendy, who ended up being known as Weeping Wendy. And it all came down because AJ, the producer, didn't want her to end up with this jerk, Jake, whatever his name, Tony or whatever his name was. I can't remember his name. So he was the one who made her Weeping Wendy, because he knew that then this Jake guy wouldn't pick her. And so he was trying to do it to kind of protect her. And he says that that I was in love. I was trying to protect her from jerk Jake. And I thought that was all fun. It was sweet.
You gotta get the ratings up, because even Kim watched the show. I'm like, that's your guilty pleasure. And then she got mad, like, yeah, because someone doesn't delete them off my
Toby. His name is Toby. So I'm jerk Toby.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, they want to get the ratings up. So Weeping Wendy and everything, but also he didn't want her to pick. He didn't want Toby to pick her.
And also the fact that he was falling for her too.
Yeah, that's why he didn't want her to pick him. Yeah. And they didn't want him to pick her.
There we go.
Yeah. And then we have Stacy meets this guy Charlie, and so then Fred defends her, and the guy's like, "What looks like you don't need talent," and Fred gets upset, and then they kiss. So we're building up that relationship. It's pretty cute. And Wendy and AJ are going to get back together, and Parker and Kim going away for the weekend. So that's all. Because at the beginning of the episode, that Parker used to date this lady in HR, and they don't talk.
Yes.
So
going off too.
That worries Kim.
Like,
that's why I like it. I like it that she's not this one-dimensional character. She grows and changes.
Yes. And then she did question, like, what happens to me if we break up? Like, are you gonna normally ignore HR girl? I'm like, Kim, stop being in the office. Leave someone on the floor.
Yeah, I think this is a good episode. I give this one 8.5.
8.5 as well.
Okay. Then we have Bad Girls, and this one is it's Jane represents a young girl who is being cyberbullied by a popular girl in school. Parker's old partner in the firm, Claire Harrison, returns to enlist his help in her divorce, but Kim takes the reins on the case, only to discover Claire wants much more than a settlement. Grayson moves to the next level when he meets Vanessa's parents. So this one is not my favorite. I don't really love having Harrison back, Claire back. And I feel like Parker, they need to keep him somewhat likable. So the fact he kisses her is super lame. And then we have this whole thing with Grayson meeting Vanessa's parents, and he gets kind of freaked out, and he says, "I was never scared by my relationship with Deb." And then Jane's like, yeah, you were.
That flashback, by the way.
Yeah. And then we have let's see here. We've got this whole case between this girl who's being cyberbullied by this other girl, and it turns out like she had actually taken the pictures at a certain point. So it ends up being more a case of the mothers being at each other's throats than even the kids, the two girls.
I'm not gonna lie. It was like during that time period, that's when cyberbullying really started to hit. Because I think during that time, cyberbullying started about maybe 2008, 9-ish, around that time period. I remember my MySpace days where I'd read the bulletin boards on the side, like, oh, there's drama happening around school or whoever. But it definitely, between that time period, 2010 up to now, cyberbullying has been in laws now. It has been trying to, like, But the mom really was like that one person who, like, the bully mom, she was the ultimate bully in this case, because you allow your dog, like, you didn't even check your dog. You're like, I have to take her down though, but you're so mad about how the victim was trying to get her friends to testify, but then your daughter's like manipulating them or threatening them, but then you take it upon yourself to, like, I'm taking that further. Now you're evolving yourself being that bully, and how you know the rest of yourself, and that's what your child sees basically at the end of the day. Your child sees you being a bully, they're gonna copy doing, and the fact that you're doing this, also bullying a child on cyber, that happens to a lot of parents are doing this and need to come up.
Yeah, and I feel like kids are so resilient these days. I mean, obviously there are some that are really, really impacted, but I just remember when the movie, did you ever see The Duff? Movie The Duff?
I don't think I've seen that movie. I've been watching
it's like a cute, like, high school rom-com, whatever, but both of the actors are way too old to be playing teenagers, but whatever, it's good enough. And in this movie, there's this whole scene where she gets, like, shamed by everybody she gets everybody in the high school knows, like, something embarrassing about her, and it was just interesting to me because the attitude of the movie was like, it happens to everybody. Everybody gets cyberbullied at one point. Everybody gets cyber shamed at one point. Just don't let it get to you. It was the attitude of the movie. And I remember talking to my sister, who's 18 years younger than me at the time, about that. And I was like, is that true? Do people just kind of like, it's your turn. It happens to everybody. Is that kind of the attitude? And she was like, yeah, basically, you just kind of, it's going to happen, And I remember reading something about how teens have to deal with everybody that they know having a camera around them all the time. Ooh. And I never really thought about that but how stressful that would be. I mean, I remember my best friend in high school, she walked through senior hallway with her skirt tucked into her backpack. So everybody saw her underwear, right? And it was like super embarrassing, but it was like 1 minute. And now, like, that would be all over Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, everywhere, and it would never leave. And she, it's so different now than what it was.
It really,
I don't know. It's interesting. So
I think what ranked it up more about it being like cyberbullying is more of like you're adding in, what was it? Sexting into it now. Cause
that too.
I remember those side pictures, you're in the background, like, cute, but like, that's why it was a Lifetime movie. That's where it was. But like that's when it took it where it went from cyberbullying to sexting and with pictures, texting. And now you're having a parent doing it. Now you're being a.
And this blog, it's called Matitude.
Yes.
And it's Abby. She took the selfie herself. And so that's what surprises Jane and the mom. And then we have this whole thing with Claire and her divorce, and it turns out that she's committed fraud. And Kim kind of figures that out
with Fred's help. Remember, with Fred's help,
and they had and then they have $100K to pay off this prostitute. And it just gets really messy.
Yes. And I feel like that was the catalyst that hit at the next episode. Yeah, besides the kissing Parker crap and,
I guess Claire kisses Parker in this episode, not the last one.
Yeah. I swear everybody kissing people. I swear it happens every time. Right, happened with Parker and Cam. Then it happens with Grayson and Cam. Now with Claire and Parker. I'm like,
yeah,
you're at the right place at the right time with all this team. But
you're right. Fred figures out that Claire was the blackmailer all along, and
she has more up her sleeve than we anticipate what she's going to be doing.
So then I also really loved the scene between Fred and Stacy, and Fred says, "We kissed and that meant something to me, but maybe it didn't mean anything to you." That was a really good scene, I thought.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
And we find out that that Grayson talks to Jane about there were no problems with me and Deb, and she's like that there's that whole scene with Deb giving away Grayson's sweater. Yeah. And Grayson tells Jane that he broke up with Vanessa.
I know.
And you just want them to just like kiss already.
Like, come on, like
they really do stretch it out.
They really do.
But yeah, this one's pretty good. I would give this one I would give this one a 7.
I want to do 8.
Okay, last episode of the season, we did it. Freeze the Day.
Yes,
and
we're finally here.
With Claire Harrison easing her way back into the firm, she partners with Kim on a case, but proves she will stop at nothing to win, including pitting Kim's insecurities about Parker against her. Meanwhile, Stacy books a Fancy Feast commercial, and Fred has to hide his jealousy when she has to kiss her pretend husband. Jane and Grayson take on a case involving a woman who wants to be cryogenically frozen, which leads them both to think about the passing of Deb and leads to a series of events that could change Jane and Grayson's lives forever. So this is a pretty good finale. I really enjoyed it. I mean, this whole plot with Gloria Rubin, though, of wanting to be legally allowed to basically commit suicide, and the fact the judge agrees, we've got to there's nothing like progress or whatever. Like, it was ridiculous, but it turns out that like they're supportive of her when they think she has this disease, but when they find out that she just is grieving, that's when it's really hard, for I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous, but I love Gloria Rubin. I think she's amazing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, this whole episode was definitely top tier. This is how you end a season. Too, because everything in between, especially about how like she's trying to, all her research was supposed to be helping, with the disease that her husband had, but then Jane was like, or was Jane or Grayson? What I'm saying, like, what if you're the one that
the husband died? I forget how the husband died.
It was the same disease. Though. It was the same.
Was it the same disease
that she claimed that she has? So they found out through records.
Yeah, so it's Huntington's disease.
Yes,
and I actually had a roommate whose father died of Huntington's disease, and it is absolutely brutal, and it does go by genetics. And in the case of her family, they all had tested. And some of them wanted to find out, some of them didn't want to find out because the results, because if you find out and you are positive, then you can't live your life, like you'd be panicking. But then again, you might find out that you don't have it. But anyway, that was hard for her to decide what to do. But it is a brutal disease that it's basically, I think, like kind of ALS, where you just kind of slowly your organs just shut down. Yeah, and very painful, very terrible. So the idea is she says, well, I want to be frozen so that I'm at the state now where my brain is still active, and then if I were able to get unfrozen, then maybe I could come back or something like that.
Okay.
But then it turns out that it's not true, that she just wanted to commit suicide.
You know what? This is not an episode of Futurama where you can just get frozen in 1999 nothing, the year of our Lord, 3000 and you're fried.
Yeah, because her husband is frozen.
Yes. So
too, and living without him is too hard. And so that's when so Grayson tries to talk to her and tell her that that about grief and how hard it is and everything like that. We also have everything with Stacy and Fred. She's in this commercial and the kissing, and she just gets more and more jealous. I'm like, go outside. Why are you watching?
Right now Fred's seeing her in action on these auditions and everything, and he does get a little jealous, like he's like, no, you like telling the director, no, like he's not the right one. And it's like, fine, we're gonna find any eligible actor to make the kiss believable.
Yeah, and then we also have this whole thing with Claire, that there's this she puts these butterflies in this area so it'll be claimed like environmental refuge, which seems ridiculous because whoever did the report would know. You could tell the difference between butterflies that are there organically and ones that are just sort of put there. Like that wouldn't even pass the report, but nevertheless they have the report, and then so they're going back and forth, and then Jane tells Kim about Parker and Claire and the kiss, and so yeah,
because remember Kim came to Jane for advice, and then how Jane leaked it to anonymously about the report and stuff. That's how they found out and got their report, because remember Claire was pissed off that Kim real tough,
and then Kim confronts Parker.
Oh yeah,
and
which
so
got fired. Ooh.
Oh yeah, she got fired by Claire.
Everything just kept leveling up after one after another. Like I was just on like adrenaline at the moment. Like everything was just happening in this episode.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. So yeah, Claire fires Kim, and then you have Parker confronting Claire, and so then we also have Fred saying that I will strap myself to the limo and scream, "Stacy, don't do it," up the coast. And Stacy says, "Oh, that's so sweet." And then Jane decides to tell Grayson who she is.
Yes.
And so that's like obviously a big moment. You see this whole scene with Jane in wedding dress and Paula Abdul.
She was snatched. Brooke, you were snatched in that dress. I said what I said.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing I didn't love about the dress is that it was like just a hair too short. And so I think that it would have looked better floor length going all the way down. It made it look a little too small for her, I think. But anyway, it's just a dream. And so then Grayson asks Jane to be his best man, and he's going to propose to Vanessa. And so Jane storms off, and Grayson gets hit by a car. That was shocking.
Yo, like that whole last 3 minutes when Grayson told Jane he wants to be her best man because he's going to propose to Vanessa, her heart broke, because remember, he just told Jane last season, I think with Stacey, something like that, he's going to propose to Deb.
Deb, yeah.
And now it's one thing he like basically was with Kim that one time, but with Vanessa, he's gonna propose because after he got over the fear of like, you know, meeting the family and everything like that, and you know, meeting the parents and everything went smooth. It's just like, whoa. After realizing like, you know, that, you know, this is just supposed to be it. Yeah, I would have walked out too. I would have freaked out like, oh my gosh. But then when Rachel got hit,
yes, and then he says, Deb.
I lost it. Yeah. I was like, oh, gee.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
That, yeah.
It was a really good season finale.
I said, it's the way she did. She was like, it was just the most powerful. Brooke, you did that scene. She was like, hooray, like, it was just like, you just watch the love of your life get hit by a car and you don't know if he's gonna live or die. He's gonna go to the clouds and hit the button or not. We don't know. And we're sitting here like, why?
Yeah, and then he says Deb when he sees her in like the fog.
Maybe how she did her voice, I don't know, but it was just like he just saw the light and just said Deb, like,
yeah.
Y'all.
So this is a really good finale. I really enjoyed it. The Glory Rubin case is a little silly, but it does what you need it to do as far as motivating the characters and getting them to really think about grief and loss and everything. So yeah, I'd give this one a 9.
Yes, this is definitely 9.5 for me. Like, it's just it was just a roller coaster for me. It definitely was, and I can't wait to see what happens in season 3 because the past 2 seasons we've been getting a lot of Hallmarky representation in this because we're working on other, you know, Lifetime project during this time frame. But the fact that we get to, you know, see them in action, I want to have a like, you know, like maybe the Hallmarky can play a game with this. How many deaths of Hallmarky leads have you seen in each season? Yeah. Let us know because
I asked Josh like what they would do if they were going to have a reunion movie because the movie, I mean, the show ends, you know, with her with Ian, which is it would be kind of weird to do it. And he said, I have an idea. I've got it ready. I can do it. I'm like, oh, we need to make this happen.
I'm bringing up Hallmark. Please, Karen, if you can do it on this network,
so good.
Please, like, just let us have this moment.
Yeah. It would be so fun. So anyway, well, let us know what you think of this season. Yes. What was your favorite episode? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section or on Twitter, and what you think of this cliffhanger, and what you would think if we got a reunion movie. Let us know all that in the description.
Maybe make a poll on the Hallmarky Twitter page. We didn't have a poll for this.
And we also have our Hallmarkies Podcast Awards are up. So make sure you vote now by February 1st. And so we have a link down for that in the description. Check that out. And Jazzman, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Shreem16, SHREEM16.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast. Our Facebook is back. It's very exciting. So please follow us there and all the rest on social media. And if you're listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. We really appreciate that. And if you're watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that. And we also have our Patreon group and merch store. Check all of that out. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Yes, bye.